Made a big mistake this week, Plagu.
Uh-oh, what was that?
Well, well, it's less a mistake than it was just something that happened. I was gone last weekend. I was in Knoxville, Tennessee, on a college child visit, which means I did not do my regular wash on Saturday, which means on Monday I woke up without a pair of clean F3 socks.
Uh-oh.
Now, it was a huge mistake, but I wore regular workout
dress
socks.
socks.
Not dress socks, but
some Argyles.
just Nike socks, whatever from
just
Amazon.
regular normal socks. Yeah.
And I had a really bad workout week.
Was it?
No, it did. It just I was low on energy. My enthusiasm level was bad. My attitude was churlish at
that.
best.
Actually, that's the biggest benefit that you can get from a Mudgear sock. Is the improvement in attitude.
Yeah.
As soon as you slip that thing on your foot, boy, I tell you what, you're like, I feel more durable already.
I
can take on the world.
Speaking with my F3 co-founder, OBT, this week,
Were you?
who's now in Richmond, and I asked him,
Yes.
how's it going at the workouts in Richmond? And the first thing he said was, it's really difficult for him to work out with these guys because they don't wear F3 socks.
I knew it.
And
not a Mudgear sock among them.
Yeah. And he's just not. It's just not the same.
It's barely worth working out.
Hard to tell if they're men of integrity if they're not wearing the F3 socks for sure.
Oh, it's easy to tell.
You said it, not me.
Well, you know what they say about life. It's too short to wear crappy
it's
socks.
even short.
If you're going to be a winner, you're going to need a coach.
Sharpening doesn't happen by accident. A blade left untouched will rust, and a man left unchallenged will stagnate. Every man needs friction, resistance, and a whetstone to grind away weakness and reveal his true edge. Welcome to the Whetstone, where we reject comfort, disrupt the status quo, and forge men ready for impact. Hosted by Dredd, Dark Helmet, and me, the Plague. This is where men step out of the drift and into acceleration, because iron sharpens iron, and no man sharpens alone.
Or if you're wearing crappy socks.
And
we're
back. We're back. Man, Dredd, with all that talk about you being the king of consistency, I'm a little disappointed to hear you slipped a little bit on, especially this crucial brick.
I know. It's a crucial brick.
Every once in a while, Plagu, and he makes it sound like, which is kind of funny, makes it sound like it's something that happened. He intentionally goes off the norm to demonstrate to men that A, it's okay to do so. It happens from time to time, and how easy it is to get back on if you're a man of integrity and you wear
back on
Mudgear socks.
I will be wearing Mudgear socks on Monday.
Yeah.
Good. What's happening on Monday?
I'll be posting.
Just Monday. Just Monday. Yeah.
Posting.
Well, we're having a convergence on Monday.
Where?
Down here in El Fuerte. That's actually not what we call it. It's the fort. But because it is 13 years in the gloom. Yep, 13 years in the gloom. So we were year one plant, there. Apparently.
I was
probably.
There.
I would think so. I would think so.
Yeah.
It was early enough on. I would imagine.
What's the name of that park? Elisha Park or something?
Yep, Walter Elisha Park. Yep. Santini was our first Nantan down this way, I believe.
I remember.
Yep.
Worldwide leader posted that day.
I'm sure he did.
He did.
He's an OG.
Yep. Double D.
Yep.
It was a good crew. Many of those guys are still around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Santini moved, so we don't see him as often. But
for a convergence like that, Helmet, what you guys do, is it a longer, more difficult kind of thing, or just
it's
like,
an odd
hey,
thing.
Get everybody together?
Typically, if we do them on a Saturday, we'll do a little bit longer, more difficult kind of a thing because you got the time. This is going to be just a regular old 45-minute, but they'll do is they'll have like it's a little like Golden Corral. You got your meat carving station over here. You got your potato bar over here. So they'll have like there's kettlebells happening over this side. There'll be a run happening. There'll be a ruck probably happening, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Bagu, how far away from what passes as downtown Omaha do you live?
How far away from downtown Omaha am I?
No.
Yeah,
What passes as downtown? If Omaha was sophisticated enough of a city,
like
in order to have a downtown, like a real city.
Yeah. There's a downtown. I'm probably 45 minutes away from downtown.
Okay.
Out where I live.
Would you say it's at least 10 miles?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fort Mill is 12 miles away from what we call Uptown Charlotte.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yet it's 12,000 miles away in attitude. Am I right, Helmut?
Roughly, yes.
It is unbelievable. It's only 12 miles away. And you're like, it's a different state, because I don't know if you realize this, but Charlotte is on the South Carolina border.
Yeah.
So
when
you actually
draw
have
the McDougal line.
Yes, you have to pass into a different state. And it's like going through some weird time space warp thing. And you're like, because you can't get Charlotte guys to go to Fort Mill
For nothing.
for a workout.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, guys, it's 12 miles away. It's way down there. It's way down there.
Yeah. I mean, I go up to Metro all the time. They're like, without fail, one man will ask, how long did it take you to get here?
Right.
Did you pack a lunch?
Yeah. They act like you're Marco Polo and you just traveled the Silk Road. I mean,
and I increase the time frame every time. I'm like, this morning it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 13, 14 hours, something like that. I slept here.
I don't know. We do. So I get to host this Sunday. We do what we call Halfway House, which is the last Sunday of every month. We do basically run, ruck, but we have like a 5K, 10K, half marathon, and then kind of a longer ruck. So every September, I try to host that for kind of suicide and recovery awareness, which I'm really excited. I don't know how excited my M is. She's sort of like, oh yeah, you have that thing. You have the thing. Where all these guys are coming over. But it should be fun. That's kind of been a way we've connected guys across the city. We live out on an acreage, so we just basically my house is the starting point, and then we I've mapped out a couple routes from there. Cool. So
yeah, that's
did you say you live out on a what?
Some acreage, he said.
And we have
some.
Yeah.
What? How many?
20 acres.
20 acres.
That's respectable.
Look at these guys, man.
Well, look, when you live in Omaha, there's an abundance of a couple of things. One,
land.
Yeah.
The other,
opportunities to recover from something.
Yeah. Yes. For sure. Well,
just kidding, guys. I love Omaha. I've never been there, but I love the idea of Omaha.
Yeah. Well, you should come out. I know we could get you on the queue at the Crucible. I know our boy Milk.
No. Dredd is an Oracle guy or nothing.
Oh, okay. Oracle
all
or nothing.
Oracle all the time.
Okay. One of these days, I'm going to find my way to Oklahoma. Is that what it is?
Well, Bromaha is what we call it, right?
What state is it?
Nebraska.
Nebraska. One of these days. One of these days.
What's going to happen is the plane will actually have some sort of trouble as he's flying over.
Yeah.
And it will have to make an emergency landing in Oklahoma.
You can
land. And that's where I'll stop.
And that's where I'll stop. And I'll be right there for you.
Yep. Yeah. You could stay. We've got a barn with a couple horse stables that you could, no heating or air, but you could stay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's where a durable man sleeps.
Yeah. Right. Well, speaking of consistency, our last.
Okay.
We were talking about the cornerstone of all bricks, which is mud gear socks, and our last episode on consistency. I've listened to it 1.5 times already. I think it's just there's a lot in there that I would encourage guys to go check out, but particularly sort of the unveiling of these two new acronyms, right? Clearly not acrostics, but acronyms that Dredd shared.
Though it could be an acrostic if you want.
Yeah, maybe someday, right?
Some sort of like a bard's tale kind of a thing. Like you set it to a little bit of a mandolin-y kind of a sound, you know? Yeah.
But one of the things so maybe 2 episodes ago, Helmet and we introduced this idea of black diamond leadership, right? And we kind of talked about, as a sort of next level leader, I will apply different things to different situations or different, based on what's needed, right? There may be a time where a checklist is needed. Not likely in your relationship at home with your M, but there are some scenarios, and depending on your M, right? I think, I think it, so I wanted to kind of talk through, and it kind of made me think about this topic of like emotional intelligence. Like, how do we become self-aware of ourselves and then aware of others and kind of interact accordingly? But wanted to dive into like, how do we develop the skills? And maybe they're not skills, but how do I, so I get it, right? There's different types of leadership in different scenarios. How do I get better at that if it's a learned sort of thing? I don't know. Would be curious, like, are there, I'm assuming, right, so we have the LDP, so I'm assuming it involves that, but my question would be like, what are the things what are the opportunities that I need to be taking advantage of?
So beyond just the steps in the LDP, what might those things look like? Like in application? Is that kind of what you're?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Any thoughts there?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm gonna,
so then the next topic.
no, I'm going to back you up here because
yeah, I can feel that coming.
You used a phrase that I think comes out of the Millennial Handbook, is why I didn't recognize it, which was emotional intelligence, I think you said.
Yeah.
Would you tell me what that is? Or what do you mean when you say that?
So I think when I'm talking about emotional intelligence, I think that means I have a certain level of self-awareness, right? I'm aware of sort of who I am, how I behave. I guess the example that comes to mind is like, I know certain things that somebody might say in a meeting that would cause my blood to sort of boil, and I can catch myself in that scenario and respond in a way that is productive for the larger group, if that makes sense. And then also,
so you're saying your own emotional triggers, like what's going to
self-awareness. You can get self-awareness. Just walk over to a mirror.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, there I am.
Yeah. And then I think the other side,
when you said that was kind of, I'm thinking of the inverse of what you're saying. It's the guy who's oblivious to how he comes across. Just that guy that's like says stuff and doesn't realize that everybody's smirking or looking at each other like.
Or he just comes off, he's just an absolute jerk, but he thinks he's just fine. Yeah. But nobody can stand him because he's just the worst.
And no one cares enough about him to tell him. That guy.
Right.
Or he won't listen if he is told.
Okay. So the emotionally intelligent guy would be the guy who is aware of how he comes across and the effect that his way of speaking and what he's saying affects different kinds of people.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So I think to develop that, ALR would be one thing, and that's ask, listen, remember, right? So asking people questions about themselves, listening to their answers to remember what they say. I think that's something I try to do. With people that work for me, with me, or whatever, to try to remember that. And it's kind of easy for me because I have a good memory for weird stuff like that. Like I'll remember where people are from, or somebody tells me a story about their childhood, I'll remember it. I think another thing is really very basic, but I see this in a lot of people. They're afraid to use people's names because they think they've forgotten the name, they're going to get it wrong. So they think the guy's name is Alan, but it might be Alec. And so they don't say anything. And I would say be fearless about using somebody's name. Even if you get it wrong, what's the worst he's going to do is correct you. Now, part of that comes with getting old, because watching those progressive commercials, where they say these people are becoming like their parents. It's got like a guy, a 38-year-old guy washing his garbage cans with him. I'm like, the things that they have them doing are things that I now do routinely. I recognize getting on the elevator and talking to somebody, you know, like
Without question.
the girl's wearing the shirt with the Eiffel Tower, and the guy goes, "Oh, bonjour." That's the kind of stupid stuff you do when you get over 60. And I didn't understand it when I was a young man watching old guys do that. And now I know exactly why. Is because we just don't care anymore. I
Mm.
mean, you reach a
Well, that's a
certain
part of it.
point. Yeah. Yeah, it's part of it.
That's a
The
part
other
of it.
thing is, okay, I don't care anymore about being seen as being cool or whatever. I'm too
Yeah.
old for that. Also, I you reach a certain point where you realize you're better off saying something stupid and goofy and making a connection than not. Like there's no the downside to doing it is so shallow compared to the upside of doing it that you just go ahead and do it. Go ahead.
Mm.
Yeah, I totally agree. For a man who has, and now we're talking about kind of, how do you develop it in yourself, or or whatever, right? Or kind of try and tweak it into other guys. But for a man who has lived a virtuous life or made an attempt to do so, I believe that there is a natural progression in his personality where he can't not get to that point where he's gonna mentor somebody. He's got to mentor people. It just becomes part of what he is, because he there's an innate desire and a need, really, to pass on what he has been given or what he has understood or what he has known. That just becomes part of his nature if he's trying to live a virtuous life, right? And so I think in some way or other, you get on the elevator and you talk to somebody, because we've lived long enough, to not really care what they think one way or the other. Yes. I think we've also gotten old enough to where it's like, we've done this enough in enough places. You don't know where that next opportunity is going to come from to give or to help. And you can't do it if you're not willing to engage. And you can't do it if you're not willing to disarm somebody. Right?
No.
It's very disarming for you to walk in and be like, bonjour. And then they kind of go, this guy's harmless. I'll tell him
That's right.
anything.
Right.
Right.
Right?
Harmless old coot.
Yeah. And I don't, so for a guy like, now, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but for a guy like Dredd, or even for myself, I do it intentionally.
Yeah.
And
sure.
I use that term, how we talk about it, right?
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Some guys just do it because it's just kind of part of their nature, and they're just kind of this affable fella, right? But I do it on purpose because I don't know what the next interaction's got to be. Every moment of every day, if I'm living my purpose, right, to exhort men through obstacles, I gotta get to know the guy that's in proximity to me, whether I know him or not right
gotta
now.
find out what the obstacles are that they're facing.
I got to figure it out. I got to figure it out. And I'll tell you a quick story. I went to somebody's house. I'd never met these people before, right? And which means if I've lived this long and never met them before, chances are good, may not run into them again, right? They live in a different congregation, Dredd, than we do. And I was given an assignment to go into, to ask them to do something for the church, right? To go into, to participate in some way. And I walked in there, and it was you could cut the tension with a knife.
Mm.
It was horrible. And at first I was like, I don't know if it's like, maybe they know why I'm here. So maybe they're just not interested. Like, they just don't want me to be here. And so I go in, I sit down, and I'm trying to understand and I'm trying to read the room a little bit and exhibit my emotional intelligence. Right. But I'm trying to read the room and understand what's really going on. And finally I just come right out and say it, and I'm joking and I'm trying to do stuff, and they're just not, like, nothing's happening. And I finally just go, it's pretty tense in here. And they just look at me, and I was like, it's me, isn't it? And they were like, no, actually it's not. And I was like, nah, probably me. I came here to give this assignment. You don't want to do the thing. It's a little like little Peter Falk, right? Like little Columbo.
Yeah.
Oh, why did I put my glasses? Right. And so you say a couple things. It's very disarming. And before it's all said and done, in the next few minutes, they've unloaded their entire, like, not entire, but a significant portion of what's going on in their marriage and all this kind of stuff. And you go, but if I didn't go in trying to disarm, right? And trying to be that person all the time. My job on earth is to exhort that man through his obstacles. That's what I'm for. So I have to, I have no other choice, right? But to engage this guy in some way. Well, bro, we busted that thing wide open. He's coming to F3 on Monday, because that's the next step, right? But it's Dre's right. It's equal parts. I don't give a crap, and I have to live on my purpose. I have to live on purpose everywhere I go, no matter what I'm doing, no matter where I am.
It's funny when you said that, I was thinking Dark Helmet. How I wish I had the same level of self-awareness is the word we were using.
Yeah.
Self-carelessness that I had now when I was 30.
Yeah.
Because I would have been much more effective, So happen to be listening to my little Hallow app, which is like a Catholic app thing, which is pretty cool. I listen to it twice a day, give a little sermonette. I break up my morning and my afternoon, and I listen to this thing. It's like 12 minutes or something, and this guy takes a little piece of scripture, but he's talking about the inability to stop thinking about yourself. And he was saying, he was saying that, I think he said he's attributed this to Marcus Aurelius, who said, we love ourselves more than we love anyone else.
I've read this today.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, and then check me on this, because I was just, I wasn't thinking about it.
Say it right. Yep.
But we care about other people's opinion of us more than anyone else. See, I'd never heard that before.
It's good, right?
And he goes, Marcus Aurelius says that makes no sense. Yeah, that makes no sense. And then he went to Eleanor Roosevelt, who said it would be helpful to people to know how little people, if we're wondering what people who care so much about what other people are thinking of them, to know how little they're thinking of them at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's not that they think little of them, they're not even thinking of them. And that's really very true. And with age, that realization becomes clearer and clearer, and it frees you up to do a lot of stuff. And I think that's why, old guys do what we old guys do, is because we know young guys consumed with thoughts and concerns and all this stuff. He's not, he's just looking at you like this is just some old dude doing what old guys do. And I remember my mentor, Bill Greer, is like, I said, how do you get all these mentees? How do you do it? He goes, I just walk up to them in the locker room, ask them to get a cup of coffee. Well, I got to be careful because part of it's kind of not right. But he says, once they realize.
Never let facts get in the way of a good story.
Well, okay. Go up to a young guy, say, would you like to get a cup of coffee? Once they realize I'm not selling insurance, no offense to insurance salesmen, insurance is good. And they realize I'm not gay, no offense to gay guys, no judgment here. Then it's easy to get them to sit down and have a cup of coffee with me. I said, how many times do you usually have to ask one of these guys? And he's like, around 100, which cracked me up. I thought he was going to say, first time. This is Pagu. This is kind of like a father figure of F3, started here in Metro. Is a guy who's now in his 80s.
He's the Jedi.
He's what we call a Jedi. And that's what I nicknamed him. And he kind of got mad at me, but he didn't tell me, because he confused. I called him a Jedi. He thought I was talking about Yoda.
Oh, like he's an old guy.
Yeah, well, he's a little wizened guy. And somebody told him, no, Jedi was the older dude. And he goes, oh, okay, I like that. Because the Jedi could get you to do anything simply by suggesting it and kind of wiping away your objections.
These are not the droids you're looking for, right?
So I think for his 70th birthday, which was like 11 years ago or so, he was heavily involved in the YMCA. They had a board meeting. He was there, and they set it up so we had 100 guys walk into the boardroom in their clothes with towels wrapped around their waist, because that's what he would always do, is walk up to people in the locker room at the YMCA and say, hey, my name's Bill. How long have you been in Charlotte? You want to get a cup of coffee? So there's like 100 of us who had received this And I was watching one of those Progressive commercials the other day. It was the same thing. They
That's
had a guy
funny.
walk, goes, why do they just walk up? Why do they keep talking to people in the locker room? Guys just walks up, starts talking to people. So being freed from concern about what people think your motives are, this is the point of this wandering vignette. Being freed from that is in a sense being free to lead, because I walk up to a guy, throw at him, and say, hey, you want to sit down and talk, come to my workout, whatever. Yes, no, I don't know. I take no as no for whatever reasons he has. I guess I've evolved past the point where I take it as no personal, like no
Yeah.
to me.
You're not rejecting Dave Redding.
Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean it.
And even if you are, who cares? But yeah.
Well, yeah, I know I'm going to ask you again tomorrow. So, it doesn't matter. There's a freedom in that I don't know if you can replicate other than getting old. I mean, I don't know if you can do it. Maybe a great leader probably
That's a good
could.
question. I don't know. Yeah, I was just
Right.
thinking the same. Yeah.
Is that so? Then, if we're thinking about self-awareness, then is what I think I'm hearing you say is that self-awareness may not be as useful as the leadership, but like it's good to be
I think it's
self-aware.
I think it's the self-carelessness. I'm trying to come up with a
Yeah.
clip to something that rhymes.
Yeah.
Self-carelessness. I just don't care anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
I have a vague idea how I come across, but I don't
You have a
care how
pretty
you
good
take
idea.
it. I guess I
Mhm.
do, but I
You
guess
have a
I
pretty good
just
idea.
I
But
don't
it's not
really.
as important.
It's not important. I don't like last night we were on a board call, for instance. I didn't say a word. I didn't even turn my microphone on. I've got a cold. I didn't feel well. It's 8 o'clock at night, 30 minutes past my bedtime, talking about stuff that's kind of over my head. And so but I didn't say a word because I'm like, these guys don't need me to push the go button and get in there and throw my 2 cents in just to show I'm participating. I don't think. But then again, I don't care. Not because I don't care what they think or feel. I don't care what they think or feel about me anymore.
Yeah.
Uh, that just comes from reps.
So
maybe.
I think reps, time, Plague, I think one of the things that we find danger in too is there's a conflation, whether we say it out loud or not, between self-awareness as described and self-consciousness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
And so a guy who's self-conscious, the way that we typically use it in our vernacular, right, is the guy who's like, he really is worried about what everybody thinks. He's worried about like, oh, what do I do? Whatever. Right. And this true self-awareness really is that knowing how you come across and trying to be present all the time. Right. Speaking of Santini, that is his superpower, is this incredible presence and present in the moment and getting guys to be able to do that in a way that frees them from other things that bind them down.
My M says about Santini when she talks to him, she goes, that guy, it's like this tractor beam from, Star Trek. Or so he goes, because
Yeah.
he's like, when you're talking to this
These
guy,
big blue eyes are just like,
he's got there's blue lights are on, and you are the most important thing, like ambulances could go by, naked women are parading by. He
won't even flinch.
Nope.
Yeah, nothing.
That's true.
But he's
You're
super
right.
aware of himself, right?
Yeah.
He's not self-conscious, but he's super self-aware. So you're asking the question of, is there value in being aware of how you come across and what you're doing? Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. The second question that you kind of asked was, how do you get it? So two things that you help get it are reps and time, right? More reps than time. Time will do it, right? But I think more reps. The way you get more reps is by doing more reps, right?
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it a lot.
Trial and error.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thought that you got to capture, if you're going to do this earlier, we say maybe you can, maybe you can't. But I'm going to say if you can, the thought you have to capture is the same thought that you should be capturing anyway, which is, I don't matter. I don't matter. I mean, of course I matter, but you know what I mean when I say it. I am third.
I am
Right.
third. Yeah. Yeah.
I am third. I am down on this list of priorities in the world. And I'm telling you, it makes no sense. It's completely counterintuitive. It's completely countercultural. which is what the book is about. I'm going
Right.
to keep saying that because I'm getting further and further in this thing, Dredd. It's going to be pretty good. But like, but this total abandonment and this total, and not just abandonment where it's like, oh, I accidentally left it behind. Like, it is a revulsion. It is I am running from the society. I am running from the status quo. I don't want to just disturb it anymore. I want to get so far away from that and help men get so far away from that they're no longer tempted, right? I'm not going to just pull the guy out of the bar and say, stop drinking. I'm going to pull him out of the bar and say, stop drinking. Now, you go back and light that thing on fire. Right? There is no more bar, right?
Yeah.
But so I think that there's an element of that, just to remember that what I feel or what I'm worried about or what concerns me in those moments really is not that material.
Yeah.
It just really isn't. I can get that. I've got an incredible mentor, right? I've got a rock solid shield lock. I've got the tools in my toolkit. And there's a ton of things out there too. Like, if you want to use, innumerable leadership, assessments and things like that you can take, and 360 this and whatever, to get a sense of who you are and what people think of you and that kind of thing. And I've done tons of them, right? And they're super helpful in a lot of ways, right? But they're only helpful academically.
Right.
Right. Because it's still one person's opinion about a moment in time. You won't know what you believe or what you think until you get in there and start punching. Right.
Yeah.
That's so.
So in service of others, then it's helpful to be aware of maybe how my approach may or may not move the group towards advantage, right? If we're thinking of three terms.
And when you see yourself being effective, do more of that.
Right.
If you see yourself being ineffective, stop.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know, like, one of the things that I'm sort of an external processor, right? So I
Same.
what I'm learning is I have to be really clear about, now this is a conversation about brainstorming, right? We're brainstorming here. This is because I have had times where I'll talk about an idea and then my team will run to execute.
Yes.
Right. And I'm like, wait, who told you to do that? And they're like, you did,
You
and
just
I'm
said
like,
it in front
I'm
of
like,
us.
well, no, that was just an idea, So I'm trying to be better at that. And then I also know that I'm really working on, sort of when I speak in meetings, sort of making sure that it is intentional, right? Not just speaking to speak or to be heard. And I think,
Like Dredd was talking about last night.
one of the areas that is challenging, right? I see this other candidate doing great things, right? Like, just like crushing it. And so then I'm like, in my head, there are sometimes where I'm like, man, he would be way better at this job than I would be. And then there are other things where I'm like, but I think I'm still the best fit, but I don't get to make that decision. And so then I'm trying to not sort of like compete, like I don't need to like come off a mute in a meeting that we're both in to just say something to sort of like make sure my voice is heard. But there's also this element
flex
of
in
like,
front of the boss kind of thing.
yeah, but then there's this like, well, should I be if he's doing that? I don't know. Like, and so I think it's just trying to just really, I'm learning a lot about myself and just like, how to handle some of these situations. But those are some of the things that I guess in my mind, those will make me a better leader. Unless I turn them inward, right? I guess what I'm hearing you say is unless the focus starts to become like about me.
The things that you're worrying about right now that you're saying are you things.
Yeah.
You're worrying about you things. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Plague, I'm going to go ahead and break your heart.
Okay.
You're not going to like this at all.
All right.
So I'm telling you ahead of time. So recognize, steel yourself against what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
And I'm kind of not totally joking. Okay. You're not going to get this job. Okay. It's not because you're not qualified. It's not because you're not a good guy. It is because they have something in mind that they want done. And for whatever reason, when that time comes that they look at all the factors, and if one of those factors is because this guy's a good kiss up and whatever, then guess what? Then that's not for you anyway, because it won't be a good fit because you're not that guy. Okay. So you're not going to get this job. All right. And I'm sorry to tell you that. And part of the reason you're not going to get it is because for you to become the leader that you need to become, you've got to experience this failure, perceived failure, in a way that will teach you those lessons so that when you get on the elevator, you don't care anymore. So I'm sorry.
Yeah. I hope
I'm
you're
sorry.
wrong.
Well, as Grandma used to say, hope in one hand. And no, I probably am wrong, right? You probably are going to get the job. But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like, right, in some regard, that's kind of where maybe we started some of the Whetstone journey a little bit, right? Is sort of like realizing that regardless of the outcome, I'll have to work through that, right? And so yeah, I really hope you're wrong. I really do want this, job, and I think I'm a great fit, but I, it's an interesting thing going through, and to your point, right? If depending on what they want, right? I may not be what I would want to do, or may ask me to compromise things in a way that I'm not comfortable with.
Right. They may require you to show up naked to work every day. You don't know.
Yeah.
And that's not something that Plague will do, Dredd.
Yeah, well,
it is not something he will do. He's a man of principle when it comes to his nudity.
That's right. Well, so that kind of is
I like how Dredd's just nodding like this, like what I'm saying makes any sense. Like, that's a very good point. Yeah.
It makes sense to me. I mean, if somebody asked me, do you think you're a good fit for this job? I would probably say no. And if they ask me why, I said, because I'm not a good fit for any job, man, to be honest. Because I'm just going to do exactly what I think is necessary next without regard to what you think. I apologize in advance for nothing. Because I think the best way to impress your boss is to act like you don't have one, is to function and accomplish the mission of the organization, regardless of what the boss thinks you need to do. I mean, that's sua sponte leadership, so, which is tough when you're in a two-phone world, right? Because not every boss.
There's politics and
there's politics, and you got to deal with the insecurity of the people above you in their hierarchy. And, so there's going to be a certain amount of kissing up. There has to be.
Yeah.
But in the long run, I do believe, I was in a very hierarchical organization for 9 years in the Army. It was the guys that, kiss ups make some brown nose and make some progress, but the guys that everybody respected, including the higher ups, were the guys that knew exactly what they were doing and just went about the business of doing it. And, if you could, where you get in trouble is if you couldn't explain your actions, I mean, but if you did something you weren't supposed to do, then, if you're not following orders specifically, and a boss shows up and asks you why not, and you have a reason and it makes sense, 9 times out of 10 you got by with that.
Dude, that's how my kids are. I tell them a thing and I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. And then they're like,
right.
let me paint a picture for you, Dad. And then they'll lay it out and be like, persuaded. Carry on. I totally disagree, but you know what? You got this on lock. Go for it. I
mean, we were clearing this building in Desert Storm, and we're under no circumstances we were supposed to take off our Kevlar helmets. And we get out there, it's hot. The enemy wasn't there. We had to clear it anyway. The elevators, I mean, we were going up these, so I had the guys ground their helmets, nice, neat line. We put on our soft caps, whatever, clearing the building. Sure enough, Battalion commander shows up, of course. He comes up and gets out, and he's like, looks around. He goes, why are these men not wearing their Kevlars? And I said, because that stairwell's tight and they're banging their heads against the sides of the built of it, making too much noise. And he stops in there and he looks at me, and I could tell he was like,
he knew.
And next thing I know, he snatches his out, puts his soft cap on, and goes in the stairwell. I mean, he goes, because he never said another word to me about it. And it's because I didn't, well, sir, one thing drove this guy crazy was young captains like myself, because we were special forces. So the NCOs are older than us, and allowing an older NCO to convince us to do something that was, come on, sir, we don't need to do this BS. Uh, Come on, man, you want to be one of the guys, right? That drove the old man crazy, and I don't blame him. But as long as you were in command and you had a reason for what you were doing, he didn't think you were being pushed around by your NCOs. He pretty much okay for your using your own, using your own judgment. Uh, so a lot of things I learned over time was, man, as long as you are moving forward and you know what you're doing, you're confident, and you'll take, sometimes I did stuff like that, took an ass whipping and took it like a man and kept moving. You know, Most of the time you're going to be okay,
Mm.
but you're better off doing it that way than you are walking around being afraid of everything all the time, not using your own judgment. But again, that's kind of an aspect of self-carelessness, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that point of time in my career, I already decided to get out of the military. I just didn't care. I mean, I didn't care if he said, you know, well, I'm gonna, you're not gonna be a top block, whatever. Because I was already getting out.
Yeah.
And I just didn't
You
care.
can't fire me. I quit.
Well, what it was is, you're guys,
Yeah.
you're trying to get promoted. You're making FaceTime with your boss's boss. He was my boss's boss. He's the guy who's going to put me in my, rate or profile thing. I didn't see the guy a lot. So this is like one of those, and, but I'm perfectly fine with my peer getting that top block because that guy wanted to be a major and I didn't. I wanted to be a lawyer, so
Mm.
I knew I was getting out. And I actually operated that way for 4 years. This is kind of funny because, this wasn't
That should
my
not
last.
work.
Well, yeah, I mean, for 4 years, I was getting out of the Army doing whatever the heck I wanted to do. 4 best reports, ratings I ever had. Because in those years, I did what I thought. I acted like I didn't have a boss. And if I started getting an ass chewing, I'd just tell them the truth. Well, here, sir, this is why we did it. I made that decision.
Mm.
Well, I don't know if that's the right decision. I don't know. It seemed like the right decision at the time. And I think most of the time, that's really what they were looking for, is a subordinate leader having the courage of his convictions, having thought through it, had a reason why he was doing what he was doing, even if he was wrong, instead of doing this number where you're like, well, he's trying to hide it, or, just stay it.
Not for
Yeah,
nothing, but
This is
sir, I
what,
thought
yeah,
that right.
this is why I did it, So
Yeah.
it's funny when you're now with the young lawyers and they're trying, when do I object? When I say, listen, if it doesn't sound right, object. And what if the judge asks me what grounds? Because you're supposed to say, well,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
hearsay, whatever.
Figure it out
If you
later.
can't think, if you can't think one, just say it doesn't sound right. I don't know, Judge,
Yeah.
doesn't sound right.
because what he said was objectionable, sir.
Like, Judge, what are your grounds for your objection? It doesn't sound right. I say that probably 10%, 20% of the time. And judge,
They take it?
sometimes judges say sustained, sometimes overruled. I mean, because he's doing the same thing.
Right.
He's doing the same exact thing.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes just the fact that you say it so that it goes on the record, so that when when the jury hears it or when everybody hears it back, whatever, they're like, see, you know what? I don't think it sounded right.
That's
I
not
mean,
right.
you're just kind of planting the
Right.
seeds, right? Yeah.
Sometimes, but you can't operate in a trial because if things are happening too fast, trying to be perfect. You have to try to be good, and maybe a better word is effective. You have to be effective. And I sometimes I'm just, if the other lawyer is not objecting, like, because I can tell he's all tight and he doesn't want to make a mistake, man, I just push it right to the edge. I won't go over the edge because I'm still guarded, but I'm still restrained by governing principles. But I will take it right to the edge. Guy should be objecting. He's not. And I can tell he's thinking, man, I got to get this exactly right. I want to be embarrassed, whatever. I'm so far past the point of being embarrassed. I, and that is a place of unbelievable freedom when you just really don't care about yourself anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You are absolutely free to do what you believe is right, and that if you're trying to get promoted or you're trying to impress the judge or you're afraid to make a mistake, you're going to miss so many opportunities to do it well. You just are,
Yeah.
you know?
It's going to
Is
happen.
that
So go
sort
ahead.
of like if the mission is clear, then is it sort of a proceed until apprehended kind
Even
of
if the
thing?
mission's
right.
not clear.
Okay.
Even
Write
if the
it for,
mission's
you know,
not clear.
write
If
it for
you-
yourself.
Yeah, that's
If it's not
exactly it.
clear, write it for
Yeah.
yourself. Say, this is what I'm
Well,
doing out here.
Look at the situation, right? And you go, well, they didn't tell me to do this. The mission is murky at best, but I know in my heart what I think the right thing to do is in these moments, given the tasks that I do know that I have, right? Given the mission that I do know that I have, with the bits of information that I do know, and just keep acting. So I give you a couple examples. One, before I do that, like, well, I can't remember the movie now, but Robert Duvall was an attorney, and I really wish I could remember what it was. It wasn't Pelican Brief, but it was it was one of these, whatever. And he was like, just say object about everything.
I think it's called
Civil action. Civil
A
action.
civil action.
Yes,
Civil
that
action.
was it. Civil action.
It's about an environmental.
Yep.
And
it was a Travolta.
John Travolta plays the plaintiff's attorney.
The younger, yeah.
And he's representing a class of people who have been harmed
Yeah.
in this town of Massachusetts
So
by a
good.
toxic dump of chemicals. And I think there's multiple defendants, but one of them owns a tannery. And they've been dumping, used these horrible chemicals,
yeah.
and dumping it in the river, and it got into the groundwater, made these people sick.
Cancer everywhere.
And Robert Duvall is a pretty realistic defense attorney.
Yeah.
Just object. Just object.
Everything.
Object.
He's like,
And he goes,
it just shows him like
"This is-
waking up from a nap in the courtroom, and he's like,
Right.
objection.
objection." But
Anyway.
there's a guy, the lawyer that he depicts, clearly doesn't care about how he looks at all. In fact, goes out of his
and
way.
he wins a lot.
Yeah, goes out of his way to be kind of shabby looking and
It's the Columbo.
right. Yeah, actually very, very much so. Right.
Yeah.
He's disarming. Whereas Travolta's character is kind of slick.
He's
in fact,
he's polished.
In fact, his name is Slickman. Is it actually
it really?
literally his name? His name.
I don't remember that.
And the judge is John Lithgow, the actor plays the judge.
Oh gosh.
Keeps calling him Slick Man, and it gets under his skin. But that's what they depict that very well. That idea of just not caring.
Yeah.
There's freedom.
That was that. But I'll throw one more past you. This is just a quick story from Mammon that I hope will point it up. Without the specific details, it's not important. The job that I have, I was given, right? And they were like, write your own job description and come in here and do this thing that we think you need to be, that needs to get done. So we did that, right? I did something, just to take kind of one step further. I did something that I knew was in furtherance of what I'm there to do. And it annoyed the CEO to the point where in the next executive committee meeting that all of his C-suite was in, he started in on, do we even need this guy? Right? Like, I think it's time to get rid of this idiot because he's wasting people's time and he's unproductive, blah, 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 blah. But if you've done the thing and you don't care and you're like, look, I did what the right thing to do was, and I know it was the right thing to do because it was incredibly effective. Right? You didn't like it, but it was incredibly effective. The rest of the C-suite defends and says, you got it all wrong. You got it all wrong. Right? And I only say that to say, if you're doing the right things for the right reasons and you forget about yourself and you have that, I feel a blog post coming on, don't you, Dredd? That self-carelessness. Tell me I'm wrong, right? That's coming. I can feel it.
Maybe so.
Right?
Maybe so.
Right? But if you have that, then it's not a guarantee. Nothing's a guarantee. But boy, I tell you what, it is freeing. And the reason that's important is because it's the thing that we keep coming back to, whether it's a concept that permeates my theology. And it's also one that permeates the zebra jockey minivan centurion kind of ethos, right? Is this idea of agency. You cannot exercise your God-given agency effectively if you bind yourself in the opinions of others.
Yeah.
You'll never be able to use it correctly
Yeah.
because you've burdened yourself with the opinions of others.
No, I love it, and I do think some of that it gives me some encouragement because I do think there's a lot that I do at work in purpose of the mission, and so then the things that I'm seeing that I'm not doing are I'm like, well, I don't really do that because I'm not trying to make I'm not building the Tower of Babel, right? I'm not trying to I'm not trying to build a name for myself. I'm trying to make the organization more effective, make my team more effective, and achieve what we're trying to achieve. So we'll see how that goes. So it kind of is an interesting segue into one of the other questions I had for you guys about um, relationships. So Mammon, right, is the outer ring on the concentrica, but there is, well, I don't know. I guess before this conversation, I thought there maybe was a need or some value in building relationships with other people at work, maybe to so where does that fit or how does that work? Because I guess maybe what I'm thinking now is if those relationships are me trying to understand them so I can serve them, that's good. If it's me trying to build a relationship to serve myself, then that's not good. I don't know, but would be curious, like where does that fit, and then how much energy, attention do you give to developing some of those relationships that are not
So let me take it just a little bit sideways from there.
okay?
The the most valuable person in any organization, without exception, is not in fact the guy who's the best at whatever it is the organization does. It's the guy who's the best at forming a team and deploying it. That's the guy. And that just happens over and over again. It's not the guy, it's not, it wasn't Nikolai Tesla. He's crazy. Couldn't work with anybody, right? It wasn't him. It's never going to be that guy. It's always going to be the guy that can put together a small group of dedicated people, missionalize them, build teamwork and trust, and have them accomplish things. That guy is always highly compensated.
And to translate that into two phone language, right? It may not be people that direct report to you,
Sure.
right? It may be a couple people on the executive team, this guy over here, and this guy and gal or whoever, on this team over here, and somebody in that department, right? But they are on the same team because they have been given the same vision that it's been articulated to them, and you've persuaded them to come with you, and then they help you get your job done,
Yeah.
right? So just to make it clear, it's not like you got to form a team by hiring all the right people. No.
Sure.
No,
You form the team
that's
by
line in-
collecting. Yeah,
that's organizational chart stuff.
Right.
So the guy I'm talking about, he doesn't even see the organizational chart.
it's irrelevant.
Well, he doesn't even see. He's like he built, and that guy anytime you're in an organization because everywhere you go, his name keeps coming up. You're down in at the loading dock, and they're like, yeah, well, Steve was just up here. He pointed out the same thing. Steve, I don't know that guy. And you're up at in accounts receivable, and they're like, oh yeah, Steve, you're 5 minutes behind Steve. It's like, who is this guy? Why who is this guy that is absolutely about the mission of the organization? He's just out here solving problems. He's not following any chain of command. He's not presenting any PowerPoints to anybody. He's just going around building teams. Let's see what Steve has to say about that. That he's the guy that is absolutely essential. Every successful organization has one. Every lizard is full of them. And then if you get stultified and start turning into a bullfrog, Steve leaves because he's like, there's nothing for me there.
They've rendered me ineffective. I can't do anything.
They've rendered me ineffective. Steve, Steve doesn't particularly like meetings. He'll go. Steve doesn't, follow the rules. He's not breaking them because he's a rebel. He just doesn't even see them. If they make sense to him, he follows them. But he's the guy everybody keeps literally hearing about. And the bosses know who that guy is. Of course they do. And Steve is the guy that's doesn't care. He he just doesn't care. He may not. Yeah, and I think we all know when we're around that dude,
Mhm.
and when we encounter him, uh, and he is the most valuable guy in every organization. Every lizard has them,
Yeah.
and the more of them they have, the more effective that organization is. And as it goes down that continuum towards being a leech, and the Steves are jumping off, it gets to the end. There's no Steves anymore. Just a bunch of guys going, "Oh, what's the rule about that? What do we,
One
I'll,
fat Ted after another, right?
let's have another meeting. Let's put up a sign. Let's have a rule. All the stuff that Steve's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see the sign. I
Yeah.
mean, he's
Yeah,
not a rebel.
that's right. He's not even
Steve's
like
not a rebel.
trying to get it. Yeah, it
No,
just
Right.
he's not wired to even notice it. Is that what you're saying?
he
Like
doesn't notice.
it's not in there. No matter
Yeah.
what he does, there was a sign. Yeah,
I
Yeah.
didn't know we were. We were
didn't
supposed
think
to. We empty the dishwasher every Tuesday. He goes, oh, I just did it yesterday. It's Monday. I just noticed it was full.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sign says Tuesday. I needed emptying, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Is that
Steve does the next thing that needs to be done because it needs to be done, not because anybody thinks it needs to be done.
and is that a combo of this sort of concept of self
Carelessness.
carelessness and sua
Self-carelessness.
sponte
Yeah,
leadership
right.
kind of combined?
Steve's a careless guy. He could care less. He just doesn't. He sees the mission. He knows what's supposed to happen. He's highly competent. He's extremely confident around other people because he loves them.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care about how he's viewed anymore. So he just goes about the business of doing stuff. He's talking to some guy, not even in his department, trying to help the dude learn how to do something better. Hey, how'd you learn how to do that? Steve over in accounts receivable taught me. That guy. That's
Mhm.
somebody. That's somebody. That's Steve.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but it's so true, right?
No, 100% true.
So to
100%.
start that, so let's say maybe I realize that I would like to be more like Steve.
Yeah.
but I have a lot of room to grow. It is that just training. I guess how do I? This may be a bad question, but how do I practice being self-careless?
Number one, you need more self-control. And the best way to have self-control is to abandon yourself and give up control. So you just say, I am living for the organization while I'm here.
Yep.
When I walk through the doors, I'm a lion for this organization, going 100% for this organization, understanding its mission, going about the business constantly about its mission. First thing I do, if you get me in leadership of anything, is I make sure I know the mission.
Mm-hmm.
I memorize it. What's the mission? What's the core principles? What is it we're here to do? And then I live that out 100%. I'm advocating on behalf of it. I am moving forward without anybody telling me what to do about it. It ain't about me. I give up myself and I give up control and I subordinate what I want or think to what the organization needs done. And if I can't do that, I quit.
Got to go somewhere else. Seek
Yeah,
excellence
yeah.
elsewhere. Yep.
Yeah, because whatever it is, and I don't say, well, for instance, I don't tell them they need to change the mission. I don't say you need. I say
It's
that's why I said when you said if you said, do you think you'd be a good fit? I'd say no, because I'm not going to try to fit. I'm
Right.
going to try to
I'm just
live
going
out
to do
your
whatever I'm
mission.
going to do. Yeah.
I'm going to do what I'm going to do in furtherance of your mission. Whatever it is, your plan is, your mission, I am going to actively participate in it so that I can further it. And if it turns out when I understand it that I can't, either I lack the skill or I so fundamentally disagree with what it is, that I'm going to get out of the way so some other guy can come in and do it. Sure as heck not going to try to make you change for me.
It's not my company.
That would be tremendous self-awareness.
Yeah.
I'm very much into myself and I want you to be aware of it.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's very that'd be very un-Steve-like behavior, you know,
Right?
Yeah.
to do it that way.
That's funny. And
Yeah.
But
I'm
it's
over
true,
here
isn't it?
laughing, Dredd. Well, I would say I'm laughing, Dredd, because like legit, this is playing out in real time, right?
Yeah.
Where in my because I'm in this thing, I'm doing the stuff, whatever, and I was starting to get frustrated with some things that are happening in the organization, and then it occurred to me because I'm the guy when everybody comes on board, I show them the mission, I teach them the core values, I explain to them what that means. I try and cast vision for them so that they understand what it is that they're really to do. And I tell them, if I ever ask you, hey, what do you do? And you say, I work for a software company, I'm gonna kick you. Right.
Yeah.
Because not what you do. You simplify. Right. So we have this whole thing, right? Two phone language, right? Don't mock me openly here. Do it later. But the other part I would say that you need to know is not just the mission, the stated mission of the organization. You probably should know what they actually want, whether they really believe in their own mission and the commander's intent. And right, because I learned something this past week that's going on in the life of the CEO, things that I wasn't privy to, that they finally let me be privy to. And I was like, oh, so actually what you want is for me to stop disrupting things all the time, because you're trying to make things look super calm and super steady because you're trying to sell this thing. I shouldn't say that, probably. Right? Gotta be careful. But right. So I go, oh, okay. So if my job now is to make everybody calm instead of trying to make everyone better, okay, if that's what you're paying me to do, prepare to have the calmest group of people you've ever encountered in your life. Right? That's what I'm going to do. Everyone's going to love it. They're going to be happy. There will be no instability here. Because that's what I'm supposed to do next. Right.
Yeah.
And they can't tell me how, because I won't be able to handle it anyway, because they don't know what they're talking about. Right. So I'll do it the way I'm going to do it. But you see what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's so counterintuitive because it doesn't matter what I think. I think that's a terrible idea. I would never want my company run that way. Not my company.
Yeah.
I'm not the one paying me. He is.
Yeah, no, I think for real though, what I really am learning is that sometimes I am right and sometimes I can be wrong. But most of the time, my own beliefs are in my song. Whether I'm a butcher, a banker,
Yeah, I mean,
the drummer,
Yeah, I mean,
it makes no difference what group I'm in. I'm really just everyday people. So, anyway, not Geddy Lee.
Not Geddy Lee.
Not Geddy Lee. No, not Geddy Lee.
Yeah, this
It's
is
okay.
This is super helpful.
Edge of the blade, it's calling me sharp. Stone on steel in the darkest spots. Warning where the steel it grinds. Whetstone whispers through my mind. Spin that stone, make the edge come alive. Cut through the noise just to survive. Feel the rhythm, feel the bite. Whetstone screaming in the night. Hands on fire, pushing through the grind. Sweat and sparks leave the past behind. Sharp and ready for the fight ahead. Whetstone house till the hunger's fed.